purposed that the people that I meet with today, I will create avenues and opportunities and situations where I'll be able to speak life into their lives. Why? I have already spoken life to myself. I have spoken to myself in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. And I'm so rejuvenated because he who created life itself, he who is life itself, dwells in me. And because he dwells in me, then I affect everything around me with life. My name is Frederick Njiri. Good morning. Make sure wherever you go today, you also impact people with life. You impact people with life because that's what Christ called you to do. Well, thank you, Lord Jesus, for this beautiful morning. And we're going to look at some of the things that have been happening in this country and beyond. Things that will affect you both directly and indirectly. And take, for instance, things to do with the county government, as now the Council of Governors, or COGs, is expressing deep concern about the delays in finalizing the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024 and enacting the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, warning that these delays are crippling county governments. The COG sharply criticized the National Assembly's decision to propose a 20 billion reduction in the equitable share, claiming that such a move would undermine service delivery and push counties to the brink of collapse. And as our reporter Caroline Modoni details, the governors have termed the move by Parliament a direct affront to devolution, warning that they threaten the constitutional framework that underpins devolved governments.
We call upon the Controller of Budget to stop being a bottleneck to this process and ensure counties access their funds in a timely manner.
County governors have sounded an early warning to the national government that staff in counties risk going for Christmas seasons without a coin as a cash crunch continues to bite, with some county staff having had to go for 3 months without pay. According to the COG, in the next 30 days, counties will shut down operations completely if monies owed, now totaling to 63.6 billion for the months of October and November, are not disbursed immediately. Currently, counties have been left to offer critical services as some stay home with the biting cash crunch. COG Chair Ahmed Abdullahi, also Wajir Governor, told a press conference after an extraordinary Council of Governors meeting in Nairobi that it was unfair that businesses continue for the national government courtesy of past supplementary budget, yet for counties it has ground to a halt.
And we're saying, is it fair that life moves on for national government because they went ahead and did a supplementary appropriation based on a dollar that has not been amended yet, right? We cannot do the same unless we have a CARA that has been assented to. I think these are some of the things that we need to look at, even going forward, so that this kind of stalemate does not hold the country to a grind.
Consequently, governors say they cannot continue being at the mercy of commercial banks as they constantly borrow to pay salaries and repay their overpriced interest as they await on the national government to disburse what should be rightfully and constitutionally allocated to them by 15th of every month.
Ni mpango ambao unatugharimu pesa nyingi sana kwa sababu tunalipa fedha ambazo tunazozichukua tunalipa pamoja na interest kubwa, na kwa hivyo hatuna uhakika hata kama hizi pesa zitaendelea kuja. Kwa hivyo itakuwa ni vigumu sana kwa serikali za county kuchukua mpango ule, na ndipo mwenyekiti akasema kwamba tukifika pale na kukwambe katika haya mazungumzo itatubidi tu kufunga na kuwaomba wafanyikazi wetu waende nyumbani wakajitetee kule mbele.
Governors now wanting all unpaid amount to be settled before a full-blown crisis erupts in counties, leading to a total shutdown. On matters of health, the governors also say the slow registration of the new Social Health Insurance Fund, SHA, has been hampered by lack of resources, saying availability would also have the community health promoters spearhead the drive and soar up the numbers.
For the SHA registration to succeed, first of all, we need to pay the CHPs. How do you pay when there's no money? We also need to pay the people who are in charge of our facilities. Some counties here are yet to pay salaries for the last 3 months as a result of the delay in disbursement. In many of these counties, we need to get to where the masses are to have them registered. We have governors here who manage counties that are over 50,000 square kilometers. So the question of logistics, the question of fuel, all these things come into play.
The COGs have also demanded that monies owed to them under the defunct NHIF, now totaling to about 9 billion shillings, should be released to them, noting that hospitals lack medicine as KEMSA is not ready to advance them to more credit because of 3.8 billion debt, which they urge should be sorted if 9 billion debt is paid.
How can we be able to pay KEMSA if we are still owed 9 billion by the de facto NHIF authority? Because if you look at what is owed to KEMSA by the counties put together, it is a meager 3.8 billion as compared to for 9.1 that is owed by NHIF. In fact, we are at a point where we are saying, why don't you just cash off, offset that money that is owed to KEMSA. NHIF should pay KEMSA so that we can continue collecting drugs and pay us the balance. It will be easier for us. But all the time it is blamed on counties. We have not paid KEMSA. We are not having drugs in the facilities. While in actual sense it is the effort of all those other agencies to frustrate counties that has contributed to this. That is our position.
Muthoni Caroline reporting for EBN News.
So I think it's prudent that the central government basically releases the funds to the county governments. I know I keep on saying this. I have friends and relatives who operate from the county governments, and they've not been paid for a while. And you can clearly see the struggles that they are going through. And I keep on saying that this is the thing that is encouraging corruption, because if I have a rent to pay, I have school fees to pay, I have needs that I need to take care of, you have a family, your family needs to eat. What are you going to do? Yet, the county governments are not paying because the national government has not released funds. So please, let's end this standoff. That makes sense. All right. The church and the government is in trouble. Anglican Church of Kenya has called out the government for being dishonest after they dismissed the statement by the Catholic bishop, terming it misleading, erroneous, and at fault. The church, in a 2-page statement, clarified that it supports the stand taken by the Catholic Church on various issues facing the country. Olesepit added that they take great exception to reports in some sections of media which seems to indicate that the SEK does not agree with the Catholic bishops for calling out the government. He said the bishops have spoken the minds of Kenyans and faithfully expressed the truth as things are on the ground. In a strongly worded statement to newsrooms, Sepit said the political class and those in government need to calm down from their high horses, listen for once, rather than seemingly perpetuating the commonplace park culture of impunity. The Archbishop further said most vulnerable Kenyans have experienced inhuman evictions with no viable alternative to their already precarious living arrangements. So that's the statement by the Archbishop Olesepit, ACK Archbishop Olesepit, basically supporting what the Catholic Church bishops had said, and that really rubbed the government the wrong way. But what the Catholic bishops have said is actually true. And now the Catholic bishop the Catholic Church is not joking. What I'm seeing here, the Catholic Archdiocese of Nairobi has rejected donations from politicians. And Archbishop Anyolo, who's basically the one in charge of Nairobi, says monies that had been received from President William Ruto and Governor Sakaja will be refunded. The monies that they had donated will be refunded to them. I mean, this is just to show you that they are not joking. They are not going to take monies that they believe have not either been gotten in the right way. And you know, this must be a very difficult time for the president. If you joined us yesterday during the show with George Ngaire and with the entrance of one gentleman called Matiang'i into the president's race, you see the headache that this government is going to have. Where you have antagonized the church, you have antagonized Gen Zs, and you have antagonized the whole mountain. And so you have a huge constituency that is dissatisfied. And there are quite a number of people that this government will really need to do to try and win their hearts before 2027 if President William Ruto is to get a second chance. And it's not just that, because a Nakuru lobby group has slammed the statement by the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, terming it erroneous and misleading to the public. Speaking in Nakuru, the group blamed the bishops for disregarding significant progress made by the government on issues related to the Social Health Authority and University Education funding model. The chairman, Kenya internally displaced person Peter Tena, expressed the satisfaction of the transition from NHIF to SHA, adding that it will go a long way in ensuring that all Kenyans have a health cover through the universal health coverage. While noting the ongoing political intolerance in the country, the group called on the political class to tone down on their political utterances that might divide the country.
Mambo ya NHIF kubadilishwa kwenda mpaka kwa ule mfumo mwingine. Je, ilianzishwa lini? Imechukua muda wa miaka ngapi? Kanisa wamelalamika, si ni kweli? Na Wakenya sisi wote tumelalamika kwa mfano. Je, wakati ule mpango ulizinduliwa na Ministry ya Health, umechukua siku ngapi ndio tulalamike? Swali tu. Tumelalamika kuwa labda ule mchakato wote unaoendelea. Tayari serikali imechukua hatua, sikiza, yule ambaye alikuwa pale tayari amewekwa kwa compulsory leave ya 90 days. Kumaanisha serikali kuna pahali imeona. Si ni kweli? Haya, utanilaumu na already nimechukua hatua. Nafikiri iti kwa kanisa la Catholic wamekuja kwa hilo jambo kisiasa, lakini hawakuja kama washauri wa serikali. Wamekuja na hatua na wamesema, huu wewe ni muongo, wewe ni mukora, na wewe ni mwizi, na wewe hustahili. Wamecondemn already. How can you correct somebody and already you have condemned him? Kanisa lingeweza kushauri serikali, na kwa sababu kanisa la Katoliki lina tajriba ya miaka mingi sana, ushauri wangepatia serikali uko wapi? Vota serikali bado inasemekana kuwa ati serikali inaongea uongo. Kanisa lenyewe shule zao wanatulipisha sawia na serikali. Hizi pesa ni za matoleo. Ingelikuwa kanisa hizi zote zikate katikati school fees, kwa sababu zinapata kutoka kwa wafadhili. Tunastahili serikali yote bring down politics ili tukue na utendaji kazi. Na kwa sababu cabinet ministers na principal secretaries wamesha andika ule the performance contract, tunataka kuona serikali ambayo hata haijui Sunday, hata haijui Saturday, ili iweze kurecover the 2 years tumepoteza katika siasa.
Well, he's saying some things. We cannot, wholeheartedly say that, wholesomely rather, say that, the government has not done anything. For one thing, I give credit where it's due. The prices of goods are down. Inflation levels have gone down from, I think it was 7.9 or 7.9. It's now at 2.6. Actually, if you go to the supermarket, you will see the prices of unga, the prices of sugar, prices of cooking oil have gone down. I remember, fuel had gone up to almost 200. Right now, it's gone a little bit down compared to last year. So indeed, things have gone down, but there are things that really need to be done to make the life of the ordinary mwananchi much better. And that's what people are saying. Deal with this. These are the most critical things that we want you to do. Now, UDO officials and other Kenya Kwanza leaders have urged the people of Embu and Mount Kenya East region in general to support the government of the day so that they can enjoy the fruits of the leadership of President William Ruto. Led by UDA Secretary General Hassan Omar, the leader said the government is keen to fulfill its manifesto and campaign promises, dismissing claims that the government is unpopular. Omar told the residents of Mount Kenya East to support their son, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, saying he's poised to succeed President William Ruto after his term in 2032.
Watu wakijipanga, William Ruto hana sababu isipokuwa kutolea kisigino Kindiki, alafu huko mbele baada ya Kindiki na sisi pia tunajipanga na wengine. Lakini ni mipango yenu, shikilieni, usibanduke. Hamwezi mkapata fursa ya Mungu kama hiyo mkaitupa kwa kutojipanga. Mungu amewapa, nyinyi chungeni, na sisi tutawachunga, na sisi tutashirikiana, na mbele tutafika. Na hii mahali tunaita Mount Kenya na sehemu yote ya Kenya yatajumlishwa, na manake mimi najua wale viongozi tuko nao ndani ya Kenya Kwanza ni waadilifu. Kila mtu atahusishwa katika serikali ya Kenya Kwanza.
Sisi tunasema namna hii, come what may what, as the leadership of this country, we are going to remain in this government. We are going to support the President of the Republic of Kenya and his deputy to deliver their mandate for the remaining 4 years. 3 years ambayo imebaki, ili tuweze kuwa na nchi ambayo iko sawa. Na tunajua kwamba katika siasa hakuna wakati kutakosa mzunguko kidogo hapa na pale. But we know our leaders, wale wako pale juu, wako na nia njema ya kufanya kazi sawasawa, kazi safi katika watu wetu wa Kenya yote mahali ambao wamekaa.
Kwa hivyo hiyo miaka 3 imebaki. Kazi yetu ni kushikilia Mheshimiwa Rais, kushikilia deputy wake Kithure Kindiki, kuhakikisha maendeleo imefika hapa Embu. Tumekubali hivyo watu wa Embu? Tumekubali. Na tunasema viongozi wale wameanza kuleta vita Embu County na siasa mbaya ya Embu County. Embu County are peace loving people. Sisi si watu wakuwa hatuna hata adabu mbele ya wageni. Sisi ni watu wangwana. Kwa hivyo muache kutupotosha. Yule ambaye amechoka akae kando, sisi tuendelee na nini? Na kazi. Na tunajua serikali kubwa ya William Ruto iko na mambo mingi inatuletea. Soko tuko na 8 ambazo zinajengwa sasa hivi. Soko 8. Moja ikiwa kubwa sana pale Embu ya 800 million.
I'd like, there's a lie that was told by those leaders. I'd like, to dissuade. Number 1, you don't have to support the government of the day to enjoy development, because you pay your taxes. Development is your right because you pay taxes. So you cannot be discriminated against by any government because you don't support it, yet you pay your taxes. So you have a right to decide who you're going to support, because whoever you support, whichever side you support, development is your right. At least you pay taxes, right? I can see there are people who've joined us. See Kennedy Jumba, Asirigwa, you say good morning. I say good morning to you too. I say Sami Munyasia, you're watching from Kitengela, and I thank you for tuning in this morning. We are also watching you. All right, we need to check out what's happening in the education sector because the strike that has been going on has completely is grinding or grounding education within the higher institution to a halt. And now the Elimu Bora Working Group has urged the government to extend the current university semester to cover the time lost during the ongoing lecturer strike, which has entered its 4th week with no resolution in sight. The group, a coalition of civil society organizations advocating for the right to education in Kenya, expressed concern over the impact of the strike on students and parents, noting that the disruption has caused significant financial and academic setbacks.
Wishing to let you know that in terms of the strikes that are going on, negotiations are going on with the unions, and we are hoping that we'll reach a possible solution very, very soon. Moi University is a case in point, and there's quite a number of challenges there, but we have put in place a program of ensuring that we have it in a sustainable mode. We've come up with a strategy to deal with the issues that are facing it, and we'll be updating you once those programs or those strategies are concrete. So I want to just say that in the education sector, we are doing everything that we can to stabilize the sector and ensure that our children are able to study with certainty, and we want to bring hygiene into the education sector. It is not fair that students go to the university, for example, and stay for 9 years in the process of doing their degrees. That is very, very unfair, and so we are getting to the root of the challenges that the universities face, and we are going to be able to get long-term and lasting solutions to it. That is our pledge.
Well, there's some controversy that is going on in this country. You know, there was a talk about cows getting vaccinated. Well, the State Department of Livestock Development is asking Kenyans to let the vaccination of 22 million cows against foot and mouth disease and 50 million sheep and goats against pest ruminants. Speaking during a press statement in Mombasa, the Secretary Administration at the State Department, Dr. Joshua Chepchieng, said that control and management of livestock disease is by way of treatment and vaccination, which is the global scientific protocol. Chepchieng noted that the rolling out of the livestock vaccination in the country is aimed at controlling and eradicate livestock disease that have caused and continue to cause great economic losses, not only to livestock dependent communities, but the national economy as well.
And we are having a statement in reaction to allegations made by Kenyans. Some Kenyans say it in social media or through press statements about the vaccination of the 22. We intend to vaccinate 22 million cows in Kenya. So we deny the statement. We deny the fact that this vaccination is harmful. It is not harmful at all. It is for good intentions.
We are currently producing 13 vaccines, and the vaccines that have been mentioned that have been proclaimed by the government in terms of control, that is foot and mouth and PPR, we are the ones who are producing these 2 vaccines. And for foot and mouth disease vaccine, because this is the one that has raised a lot of issues, I want also to mention that in Africa, we are the leading vaccine manufacturer for foot and mouth disease. And this vaccine, we are not just producing for the country, but we are also producing for the whole of our region and Africa as a whole. Currently, we are distributing this vaccine to more than 9 countries in Africa, and now we have gone to Middle East. So that shows the faith in the kind of product that we are using. I want to go a little bit to history and mention that this is the vaccine that has helped us control foot and mouth disease for the last 60 years. And so it shows how effective it is. 1, because of its efficacy. 2, because of its relevance to the local circulating strains.
It is extremely important for the Kenyan public to know that vaccination of animals is historical. It was done before independence, it was done after independence, And I believe even governments beyond here will do it, because you cannot control viral diseases caused by viruses. You cannot control it without vaccination.
On top of the economic losses it causes, like foot and mouth disease, it devastates the dairy sector in terms of reduced milk production. In addition, to control the disease, there is a imposition of movement controls, quarantines, that disrupts markets. So you can see the consequences of an outbreak of foot and mouth disease.
That's pretty interesting as the animals are being vaccinated. There's been a lot of controversy around the vaccination. I remember the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, was insinuating that it's not just your ordinary vaccination. But I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I remember from the time I was a kid, animals were being vaccinated against the foot and mouth disease, which can wipe quite a huge number of animals if they're infected. Well, there was a lot of wrangles within the Kirinyaga County Assembly. Chaos erupted at Kirinyaga County Assembly chambers between two opposing sides on the plan to remove the current majority leader, Daniel Kibinga. The communication made by the Deputy Speaker, Gennaro Jamumo, ended with chaos as members demanded for signatures of supporting members claiming they don't meet the required threshold. MCAs want to replace Daniel Kibinga of Ngariama Ward with Godfrey Muremi of Keene Ward, currently serving as the chair of the Budget Committee. Those supporting the ouster, led by Kirugoya MCA Ward, Eric Moshina, said that the current leader of majority has failed in the running business of the assembly and is become a stumbling block to development of the areas.
Kwa hii bunge mambo mingi haikuwa inaendelea kwa sababu kulikuwa na ule aliyekuwa majority leader Kibinga. Yeye alikuwa anatuwekea visingiziki, anatuwekea maukuta ndio tusione mbele na kutupiganisha tukiwa members hivi, tukiwa members wa Kenya Kwanza, kutupiganisha, yani hakuna member ama hakuna mwakilishi wodi anaweza kunywa chai na mwingine ama kukuliana. Lakini sasa tulipogundua huyu ndiye anayetupiganisha, tukachukua hatua, tukakutana.
Hii msiite mapinduzi, ile iko, si tunataka Wajiko wa Kirinyaga apate haki yake. Hatuwezi kuwa tukilalamika kila siku, na unajua majority leader kusema ukweli ndio anachikanisha bunge na executive. Na kama mambo yale tunataka haifiki kwa executive, tunaweza kuja tukaalamu gavana wetu, na saa nyingine si yeye, ni yule ambaye hafikishi yeye ile mambo tunataka ifanyike.
Probably today we've seen that there was a communication that has been made by the deputy speaker in the absence of the speaker who was still in office. And we were so stranded on what is happening, because we thought if there is anything that on serious business should be made by the speaker himself. But today he decided to send the deputy speaker, while still seated in the office. And probably we think that something is wrong, because I thought if we want to remove anyone from the leadership, mostly we are supposed to have a Kamukonji.
So, you know, the more the MCAs change, the more they remind me of the councillors of ways back then. They used to have so many squabbles. I mean, oh my goodness. But anyway, there's some perspective that probably we should look at, you know, the Ugandan perspective. We recently had the honor of having a Ugandan member of parliament come into office. His name was Dr. Abed Bwarika, and he's one of those guys who had even vied for the presidency in the country, and he had some very interesting things to say about the relations between Kenya and Uganda and the areas that we can be able to explore and see how the two countries can be able to benefit. This guy is not just a member of parliament, he's also a born-again Christian. And this is what he had to say about some of these things.
Kenya has been for so long the first trade partner for Uganda. We do lots of business with Kenya. Kenya is the gateway in terms of Mombasa, in terms of you have the biggest port for East Africa, and that's where our goods come from. And if we are going to boost the economy of the two countries, the transport infrastructure is very crucial.
Right.
And Kenya has done the standard gauge railway, and in Uganda we are lagging behind. And we.
Well, don't go away, because I'll be playing that interview at the tail end of the show, looking at some of the things that we can be able to learn from Uganda, new businessmen who are interested in going to Uganda and making some ching-ching. You can learn a lot from him. Anyway, right now let's take a look at the newspapers and see what's happening, the headlines. Wacha tuangalia maneno ya magaset. You remember former President Uhuru Kenyatta used to say that these things are used to kufunga nyama. But kabla ijatumiwa kufunga nyama, let's take a look at what the Daily Nation is saying today. And this is what it says: Ruto's major purge of Gachagwa's allies. This is expected to happen this week. Probably it will start, the operations will start today. And as you can see, the names that are there include Ndindi Nyoro, or as his homeboys call him, Didi Nyoro. Budget and Appropriation Committee is going to lose that. And then you have Gathoni wa Mushomba, Constitutional Implementation Committee. And then you have James Gakuya, Trade, Industry and Cooperation Committee. Then you have Musau Vincent Musyoka. He is, wameka sticker hapa imeshika. Yes. He's from the Departmental Committee on Energy. And then you have Nimrod Mbaye, Public Petitions Committee. Then you have Wanjiko Moher, Regional Integration Committee. Then Kareke Mbwiki, Tourism and Wildlife Committee. Then you have Johanna Ngeno, Housing, Urban Development and Public Works Committee. These are the names of individuals who we expect this week are going to be kicked out of the committee as the president starts removing individuals who are allied to Gachagua, former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua, from his government. The shake-up schedule this week affects 14 members of parliament serving in influential National Assembly Committee leadership positions who are viewed as sympathetic to ousted Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The changes are also informed by other recent political developments, including co-option of Raila Odinga's party members to the cabinet. Just in case you don't know, ODM is demanding more spots in the government, and rightly so, if they're helping keep President William Ruto in government and basically achieve his objective, then they should get a bigger chunk of his government. Then there's an uproar of a selective hearing on new tax laws. The National Assembly has kicked off public participation hearings on amendments to various tax laws and concerns over an attempt to leave out some regions. The committee chaired by Molo MP Kuria Kimani started the hearings in Isiolo and Bungoma and is expected to hold 4 other sessions in Mombasa, Siaya, Taita Taveta and Kericho counties today. Then Kenya has been picked to lead 2 billion anti-terrorism project in East Africa. Okay, that's good. Then in the inner pages you have now a detailed story on the move by the president to try and remove some of the Rigathi Gachagua allies. And then we also have ministers take the reins as COP29 enters crucial stage. You can do a reading on that. Then the chairperson, Kuria Kimani, basically giving his views on the tax bills. Then the back page of the Nation, varsities to stop offering diplomas under new laws. Why? Then you have MPs reject bill stopping state from funding private universities. Okay. Save us from Israel bombs. That's headlines in the Standard. These are Kenyans who are stuck in Lebanon. And you know there's a lot of kaboom kaboom happening in Lebanon. And Kenyans living there are calling on the government to intervene and rescue them from the wrath of Israeli bombardment, as their lives have been turned upside down since the invasion began last month. So I guess it's repatriation, because there's basically very little the government can do in as far as that war is concerned, apart from repatriating Kenyans living there. Then there's also a story there, church finds its voice after 2 decades. Then battle, Kenyan pupil amplifies children's voices at COP29. Then we always have these kids, giving interesting speeches there, and then after that they just disappear. And Kenyans continue to give their views on tax laws, demand state accountability. By the way, if you go and give your views. When the committee comes to your place, go and give your views. As to whether they're going to be implemented, I don't know. But just go and be heard. Go and be heard, lest they say that you never gave your views, and then when these laws are implemented, we start going to the street. Shutdown looms in counties of a cash crisis. And then the back page is a sports. Kenya faced Namibia in a tie that means absolutely nada. The Star, Raila diplomatic offensive starts. I believe Raila is going to win this. I really do. I believe he's going to win this. U.S. governor speaks of roots in Kenya. Is a gentleman called Matt Meyer. Then graduates lose again in battle with the law school. Appeal court dismisses application of 40-degree holders. In the inner parts of the Star, gives you just a brief of some of the countries that Raila is set to visit. You got Nigeria, Senegal, Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, South Africa, Botswana, and Zimbabwe, which I believe have already given their support to him. Ruto dilemma on 2027's ticket as bruising battle heats up. It's going to be interesting. Then at the back page, time for Tusker, not the drink, the football team. All right then. With that, I'm going to bring the curtains down on the show, but don't forget, I'm going to leave you with the interview with the Ugandan member of parliament who basically visited the country, visited also our offices here, and we had a chat with him concerning some of the things that Kenya, Uganda can be able to benefit, and this is what he had to say. Good morning.
You know, Kenya has been for so long the first trade partner for Uganda. We do lots of business with Kenya. Kenya is the gateway in terms of Mombasa. In terms, you have the biggest port for East Africa, and that's where our goods come from. And if we are going to boost the economy of the two countries, the transport infrastructure is very crucial.
Right.
And Kenya has done the standard gauge railway, and in Uganda we are lagging behind. And we hope that our government will find opportunity to invest in that infrastructure. It's a very crucial infrastructure, because it's going to lower down the tariffs on transport, which directly affects the doing business in Uganda, the cost of doing business. So we are looking forward to that. It is long overdue. It is a project that is long overdue. In Uganda, we have been handling the meter gauge railway,
yes.
That is ancient, and we hope that we will find money to invest into the standard gauge railway, not only to Kampala. We look forward to a standard gauge railway that will connect up to South Sudan, standard gauge railway that will connect up to DRC Congo, up to Rwanda, and up to northern Tanzania.
Right.
When we develop that infrastructure, it will heavily infringe and touch on the trade and our people. That's what we are looking for. So it's a project that we desire as a nation, and hopefully it will be faster than what we think. I was in Tanzania, and I saw their standard gauge railway. I think they have done the best in East Africa.
Yes.
In terms of the speed of the engines, I think they are doing 160 compared to Kenya here, I think, which is 120, 140. And there are issues of, when we talk about standard gauge, it's about the space of the wheels and whatever the railway is all about. I think Tanzania, we needed to harmonize, first of all, as East Africa.
Yeah.
Our claim is that we want to integrate, and these infrastructure should have been the same, so that when a train lands from Kenya, lands on a railway in Tanzania, there are no issues. That's what we should be doing.
Right.
But when I look at what we are doing, it's not yet harmonized, and there are issues there. But on going back to your question, in terms of funding,
yes,
there are many options that we have as a nation in terms of funding. Most of our projects, the huge projects that have been funded by the World Bank, by the IMF, and by the Chinese, and the East African Development Bank of recent. You know, for us, we had issues in terms of the World Bank because we enacted the anti-homosexual law.
Yes.
And we are firm.
The very controversial one.
It's a controversial one, but we are firm on it. We are telling the West that these are our values, and we are not going to relegate anything in terms of our values. So
yes,
it's heavy. they funded your infrastructure here, and you are paying out of nose. So I know that the government, previously, the last 2 years and a half, I was on a National Economic Committee, and we are the ones that tease out and assess the loans. So there are many options. I hope government will come up with the best option in terms of the loan, issues, the requirements. There are always so many issues involved. But as a nation, I don't think we have that cash from the budget to fund it, because it's a huge project. We are doing another infrastructure that is going to connect to Kenya. We are doing an express highway from Kampala to Jinja, and then later on we think that will facilitate transport, because from Jinja to Malaba, as I said, it's our main gateway, so we must have the right infrastructure. Yes, we need to look at the bigger picture in terms of, I know that the railway infrastructure will improve in terms of the cost of transport, the volumes, and that is a bigger issue. But for the small traders on the border, there will always be railway stations. There's no way a train can come from Nairobi and then ends in Kampala. There will be an interlink, a railway station at Malaba, at Busia. We have been having issues which I thought that our viewers would be interested in. Issues between us, Kenya. Sometimes, we bring here many goods, milk, eggs, poultry, and sometimes there is this protectionism, which sometimes is healthy, because if there is a bump harvest, for instance, there's a bumper production in Kenya, any government would want to protect their own citizens. But we need to reach a level as East Africa community where goods and services flow without any barrier. So as long as we still keep those small barriers, they're going to affect in the long run our trade and our economy. So we need to be firm as the East African community and agree on free trade, agree on free movement of professionalism, of services, of goods, so that a Kenyan should be able to trade in Uganda without any barrier. These are small countries; they are still tiny economies. Kenya 106 billion, Uganda 50 billion. We are not yet there. That is small money in New York. The richest man in the whole world, Elon Musk, is richer than Uganda and Kenya combined, and even Tanzania. Currencies, they facilitate trade, and also, as I've said, our trade bloc is very small. If we are going to, move in terms of competitiveness, we recently brought on DRC Congo. I've seen we have brought on Somalia. Hopefully that their security settles down. I think we should be looking forward to a mega entry of Ethiopia. That will be a big thing, with almost going to 100 million people. So that will make our bloc a little bit viable, because currently our bloc, we may be coming to, by 2050, maybe we'll be in over 500 people, 500 million people, but that is not the purchasing power. The purchasing power should improve in terms of the monies, the GDP, and those tools of currencies, single currency, free movement, free trade. This trade, lifting all the trade, moving the trade barriers, will facilitate our economy. as a block, when we look at it as one. And you know, these investors who have money, they want to look at beyond Kenya. They want to look at beyond Uganda. They want to look at the bigger market. So the more we, harmonize, that's the more we bring this community together, and it becomes a viable, option for investors. And the more FDI we get, the more jobs, the more we grow our economy, because money is elsewhere. You must attract it to the economy. And some of those tools are very critical to facilitate our trade and our harmonization.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity and the space.
You are watching EBN TV.